What's going on, Bottom Line viewers? It's me, Fitty Trent, and we're joined by the one, the only, everyone's favorite Bottom Line viewer himself, Kevol. We are here to recap the playoffs of the day for the NHL. It's only going to be the two of us. Mitch is sadly not feeling very well, and currently AC is signing a bunch of autographs for all these sorts of Bottom Line View fans in downtown Vancouver. It's crazy. He's having a great time. But it's
Mitch
me,
is not
it's
feeling
Kevol.
well.
Of course, Kev. He's signing all the kinds of autographs.
Oh, I'm surprised. Oh, Mitch is not feeling well, and Adam is downtown.
Signing autographs for all our
Oh,
fans.
that's fair. Okay. Well, Adam is a star.
He is a star, just like you, Kev. I only have the best on the game reviews, all right, Kev? So hold your head up high. I'm sure everyone wants your autograph after this, too.
Sure, for sure. Yes. It'll be available on eBay for 52 cents.
52 cents. That's pretty good. I mean, it's going to be famous one day. You were in quite a few movies by here, what I've heard with.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, never mind. Moving from the entertainment into some NHL hockey, we were greeted with two pretty good and pretty interesting and competitive games. Kev, what were your thoughts immediately when you were watching the games, and how do you think it all played out?
Well, I think I just tweeted this out. I said, man, I really wish the Flames got this type of goaltending tonight. At any point in the series against the Ducks, we would have won some games here. The Ducks outplayed the Oilers tonight. This was not like blatantly outplayed the Oilers in a lot of ways tonight. But were able to escape with the Oilers were able to escape with a victory because of goaltending. And the Predators Blues series, I thought was an excellent game. Back and forth, that could have went anyway. That's going to be a long series. It's a long, tough series. So it was good hockey, though. Good hockey.
Very well said there, Kev. It was excellent hockey. Fantastic. And let's start with that game that you just were talking about how, the Oilers, really outplayed the Ducks and how well it turned out, just the goaltending alone. Let's start off with that game. So starting off with the game, we saw something that we have not seen in the second round yet until this game, which was a first minute goal by Andrej Sekera. Very nicely done, right from the top of the face-off circle. He scores a goal first minute in, and the Oilers look hungry and dangerous very fast. They come out of that first period looking pretty good and pretty solid and pretty on top. Second period starts about 5 minutes in. Patrick Maroon, he's been slowly starting to pick it up a little bit. Gets his second of the playoffs, assisted by Jordan Eberle and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Those guys, they've kind of been hit and miss so far, but it's glad to see that they're kind of chipping in. I really like that line, actually, of Eberle, Nugent-Hopkins, and Maroon. I think it's actually doing pretty well for them. And then Jakob Silverberg scores his fourth of the season on the power play, assisted by Cam Fowler, back from injury, and Ryan Kesler. And as I've been saying this entire second round, I was getting excited. I was thinking, oh, it's going to get good. It's going to get better. The last 10 minutes of the second period, the Edmonton Oilers did not get a single shot on net. And it finally looked like the Ducks, they were going to take this game, and they were going to look very dangerous. They started off with the third period, constant rushes, constant control of the puck. They had a few hits of the post during that third period, but ultimately Cam Talbot stands on his head and does marvelous for the Edmonton Oilers. I thought that he'd be kind of the shaky one in this entire series. He proved me wrong, making 39 out of 40 saves and really stole this game, as Kev said. Honestly, he was the greatest player on their team. There's no denying that. He played absolutely excellent. McDavid, he had a really good first period, but you definitely saw him starting to drop down a little bit, as the game progressed. He was actually 0% on the face-off dot tonight, which we never get to see McDavid do. He's usually really good with the face-offs. Didn't win a single one tonight. But then again, we also saw him playing mostly the wing, and I think that's basically his main position that he has been playing so far this round. Cassian, you can see, has cooled off. He had two penalty minutes, a couple hits, and a couple giveaways. Eberle,
And a goal called back. I think
that's
that, Kev? 9 goals Zach Cassian's had this year called back.
It's true. He really has. He's been the most called back player, I think, in NHL history at this point.
Yeah. Well, keep going.
All I was going to say is Eberle had an okay game. He also had 3 giveaways, which was kind of sad to see. On the Duck side, I mean, we really didn't have anyone that played outstanding. I mean, Silverberg did get the only goal. I personally think that Fowler, even though he got the assist, he just doesn't look like the same Fowler like we've been seeing in years past. He did have 4 shots on goal. He has been looking a little bit better, but he still had 2 giveaways. Kevin Bieksa was missing from this game, and honestly, Kevin Bieksa has been one of their best defensemen, believe it or not. He's been usually their like 7th or 6th defenseman during the regular season. So far in the playoffs, he's been playing pretty good, and he's apparently going to be out for the rest of this, at least, series with a lower body injury, which is understandable. He's getting older, but you really saw him missing on that defensive side today, and maybe that's what ended up them losing the game. Also, John Gibson really had a poor night, only making 21 saves out of 23 shots. That you have to do better if you want to go far in the playoffs. Kev, what did you see from this game? Who are your highlighted players, and what did you take from it?
Well, do you remember in the preview that there was a certain not well person that mentioned that this Oilers defense was, and I think he did this, overrated.
I believe I do know who that person is, and I believe he's not with us tonight. He's not feeling very well. Mitch.
Okay, so I guess when we're talking Game 3, I'm going to have to ask him about this because I don't know what this Oilers defense needs to do anymore, what Cam Talbot needs to do anymore to gain any more respect. Talbot has been the star of the series. I mean, even in the game on what was it, Thursday, he kind of stood at his head to preserve the win. We always took that game. I thought Ryan Nugent-Hopkins was excellent tonight. Probably one of his better games he's ever played. He came through in a more of a defensive role. There was a really bad penalty from Nurse. It's just the Ducks. It's the hockey gods are frowning on the Ducks after they got such a huge break with bounces from Lord knows where against the Flames. They're now getting the luck is now turning against them, and that's part of it. I don't know. Going into Edmonton, I think I fear a sweep could be coming. That Game 3 is going to be so huge. If Edmonton wins Game 3, this series may be over rather quickly. But tonight, Talbot was the story. The Ducks will need to keep going and get a little bit better goaltending, especially at the start. Right off the start, you can't be down 1-0. You just put your team in a hole. Not a good goal from Gibson. Not great. I wonder if they're going to go with Bernier. The Ducks just have to keep going, though. If you're the Ducks, you just keep going. You're a veteran team. You got to try to take Game 3, make this a 2-1 series, and just claw your way back. Make this a long marathon. If Edmonton wins Game 3, this will be over in 4, but we'll see here.
No, I completely agree with you. I was thinking throughout this entire thing, I was thinking Game 3 is a must win. Like, if they don't win it, they don't win the series, because if you win Game 3, then you have to still win in Edmonton like a couple more times, I think. But that's at least doable. If you have to win every single time from then on out, it's not doable whatsoever. They have too much of a crowd. They're too passionate about the hockey. Toronto's out, so, CBC has to fill us the time with something. Austin Matthews won't do enough now, so it's all about the Connor McDavid hype.
Oh, isn't Austin Matthews at Starbucks right now?
I don't know. I haven't gotten the tweet from Bob McKenzie yet, but I'll keep you posted there, Kev.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But I think it's a kind of interesting. There is one point I want to say about Edmonton's home ice. They have won 2 out of the 3 games that they've played on home ice so far, but those 2 games that they won went to overtime, and it's the kind of thing where overtime is a completely game entirely. They need to win, it in regulation, I think, Edmonton, because I still think that Anaheim, they still have a chance. Yes, they're down 2-0, but pretty much, as we said, Game 3, that is a must win, because if you're down 3-0 against the Edmonton Oilers, it's going to be intense. It's going to be a Game 4 that, honestly, the Anaheim Ducks, I don't think would want to play. But it'll be interesting to see how it works out. I completely agree with you. Anaheim, they just have to keep on playing their game. Oilers need to keep on playing their game. If Cam Talbot can keep on playing like this, I think that he'll win probably like the Conn Smythe Trophy for playoff MVP, because I honestly, as I said, and I keep on saying, I had my questions about Cam Talbot. He has proved me wrong, and I'm happy to say that he has been the best goaltender of this series. if not one of the best goaltenders of the playoffs so far.
Yeah, he's been outstanding. I think we're going to talk about the best goalie in the playoffs. I'm going to make that statement for you soon here because I think someone made that statement tonight. But there's a lot of things with the Oilers game though that they kind of Nurse took a bad penalty. They didn't win a lot of face-offs. Sometimes when they win, they don't look spectacular when they win. But what's been happening is they have been getting their so-called bottom guys are seeing it come through with the big play. Like this, Maroon's the top six, but Sekera, not a guy that scores a lot. Last game, Adam Larsson had a huge game. Draisaitl 4 points. He's just coming into his own. It's just they're finding little ways to win, and they almost showed a little bit more veteran composure down the 5 minutes at the end than the Ducks did. But the Ducks just have to play their game. They just have to play their game. There's not much to change. Maybe you need to tweak your lines a little bit. Maybe you need to get away from trying to match Kessler with McDavid because, as I mentioned in the preview, McDavid was going to go to the wing. I kind of figured that's what they would do to get him away from Kessler. It's interesting. But McDavid hasn't been a huge star in this playoffs. Quite frankly, McDavid hasn't been like the star of the playoffs. It's more been Draisaitl. It's been Nugent Hopkins. And their bottom six has done such a great job. I mean, even tonight you lose Trey Kajula for a while, and you're still finding ways to pull that out. So give the Oilers credit for their depth as well, and give McLellan credit for having to adjust and adapt the lineup. And yeah, well done.
Yeah, so I think basically what we're saying is both teams need to keep on playing their game, and basically they just need to get lucky. The Anaheim Ducks need to get lucky, and Edmonton needs to also, in a way, keep on being lucky to face well against the veterans. So basically, we're both saying nothing needs to change. It just needs to keep on playing their game, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Moving on. Go ahead, Kev. Did you say something?
Nope.
Okay, moving on to the next game, because I think we've pretty much covered that one pretty well, is the Predators and the Blues. And Kev, you said that this was a really great game. I have to absolutely agree with you. Basically, this entire series has been very close. We open up in the first period, about 5 minutes in. James, the real deal, Neal, scores his first goal of the playoffs, assisted by Cison, and Ellis getting his 5th assist of the playoffs. He's hot when he's hot, and he had a bad game the first game, but as I said, he'll be able to bounce back, and he proved that tonight. Vladimir Tarasenko got a goal with less than 20 seconds left in the first period to tie up the game. And Tarasenko, it's finally good to see him being hot and joining into the playoff race, because he didn't get his first point until the last game against the Minnesota Wild, and now you can see that he's picking it up. Second period, it was very even. Both teams were going back and forth, back and forth. Then the great beard himself, Ryan Ellis, gets his second goal of the playoffs. He had a great game tonight. Got 2 points. This was his goal, and gets the Nashville Predators the lead once again. But not even 4 minutes later, Jori Lehtera, a guy who's kind of been up and down the lineup for a while, kind of confused of whether he's a center, a left winger, gets a goal assisted by Berglund and Parayko. And then, boom, Vladimir Tarasenko, as I said, he was heating up. He gets another goal assisted by Joel Edmondson, the AHL top 4 defenseman, proven to be now like top 2 defenseman, and Jaden Schwartz. And that ended up being your winner, 3-2. And looking at these stats, I mean, in Nashville, lots of players were shooting when they needed to. James Neal had 4 shots. Philip Forsberg had 5. Matthias Ekholm, the defenseman, probably your best offensive defenseman right now, 3 shots. And you look at the players that, maybe didn't play overly well. I think everyone played actually pretty well. If I had to pick someone that played pretty bad, Vernon Fiddler with 15 penalty minutes, 65% on the face-off percent, though. That's not that bad, but 15 penalty minutes. That was the story. The St. Louis Blues, 5 power plays to the 0 for the Nashville Predators. And maybe that had something to do with them losing this game. I mean, we've seen them be deadly on the power play. Pekka Rinne, this wasn't his best game. He was a little bit shaky in this game, only making 17 saves out of the 20 shots that he faced. Going on to St. Louis, I mean, overall, pretty much they all played pretty good, I'd have to say. Ron Reeves had 3 hits, 2 blocks, playing the physical manner that he did. Scotty Upshaw playing very physical with 7 hits. He led the team right there. Everyone had a few shots here and there. Pietrangelo had 5 blocks, and that was huge because Jake Allen, he's been playing good, but the more blocks that you can get, the better. Joel Edmondson, as I said, the top 4 AHL defenseman, 2 blocks. He did have a giveaway, but these things happen. He did have a point and was a +2. So overall, I think that the Blues, they played a little bit better. Just mentioning this because I completely forgot to mention him, who had a pretty good game himself, Jake Allen, 22 saves out of 24 shots. The Blues, they look like they were the better team tonight. Are they the better team throughout the entire series? I don't know about that. I think it's going to be close. I can still see the series going 6-7 games. It was a very competitive game, but the Blues just outmatched them just a little bit tonight. Kev, what did you see in this game? Who did you think was really good, and what was your overall take of it?
Well, Fiddler took a penalty with 2 minutes left in the first. That was a game misconduct, a Neal penalty. That was a bit of a game changer. I saw it's interesting because I really thought that this game was even. When the Predators were skating, both teams can skate really well, but I think that the difference in this series is going to be the defense, and whichever defense can hold their own is going to be will win the series. I think on the winning goal, the Predators kind of had a defensive breakdown there. The defense didn't have a great night. When the Blues put pressure on them, when the Blues are physical on them, I think the Predators struggle a little bit. I find that the Predators' defense is very good on the offensive zone, but I don't know if as this series wears on and the Blues forwards hit them and it's physical, I think that's going to be a very interesting challenge for the Predators. Tonight, Tarasenko, I think, was the big difference. 2 goals to the game winner, power play goal late in the first. And I think Jake Allen's the best goalie right now in the playoffs. I think he's playing the best. It's hard. He made a couple of huge saves late in the game, kept his team in the game, kept his team in the win. He's kept his team in the playoffs, and it's hard to argue with Jake Allen right now. Rennie didn't have his best game ever. I mean, he's been pretty solid, but Jake Allen was the difference, and Tarasenko was the difference tonight. And yeah, the defenses for both teams have their strengths, and how this goes forward will be very, very interesting. And I think another thing for Nashville that would be a little bit concerned of is they're relying a lot on that one line, that Johansson, Forsberg, Arvidsson line, to do a lot of offense. They need to get other people. They need to get others involved because the Blues are a very balanced team. Tarasenko is great, but it's not just Tarasenko that's going to be a difference maker. You mentioned Upshaw. I thought Jaden Schwartz had a strong game tonight. They're up and down. St. Louis is just a very consistent team, and Nashville needs to bring that consistency up in order to win this series. I mean, what worked in Chicago was fine, but this St. Louis team seems to be a bit more deeper than I think we realized the Blackhawks were. I think the Nashville needs to make sure their bottom 6 and their depth steps into this series as well.
Yeah, good points there, Kev. I like how you talked about the goaltenders because statistically, both these goaltenders are number 1 and number 2 in the playoffs right now. Rene's number 1. Close behind him is Jake Allen at number 2. You were mentioning a little bit about the defense of St. Louis. Do you like the defense of St. Louis better than Nashville? Because I personally like Nashville more than St. Louis, just a little bit.
I said in the series preview I liked St. Louis's better. I remain steadfast at that. I just think that all 6 are playing, I think, as a group of 6, and as a team defense, I think their concept seems to be a bit better too than Nashville's. Nashville, I think, on some technical things, and I'm not very technically savvy sometimes, but it seems to be St. Louis's concepts work a little bit better. So that's the other thing to look at as well. But it's going to be a long series. This is not, but I mean, there's going to be a couple of overtimes. It'll be a long series. It's just going to come down a matter of making adjustments as the series goes on.
No, that's for sure. That's at 100%. I completely agree with that. Another thing that's in Nashville's favor, I think, going further in the series, they're now going back home, and their home ice is arguably, I'd say, the best like home ice of an American team right now in the playoffs. They're constantly cheering. They are super loud. You cannot hear any like things that are happening on the ice. That's how loud they are. None of the players can hear the whistle, so it's going to be interesting how St. Louis handles that kind of crowd because St. Louis really doesn't have that kind of crowd behind them, I don't think.
Well, St. Louis is also 3-0 on the road in the playoffs, so they kind of have already shown that they can handle home crowd, the road crowd, the road test. But you're right. I think that that's going to be certainly an edge that Nashville is going to bring, and I think especially your first 5-10, your first period of Game 3, that'll be really important. So, um, I mean, I think it gives a boost, but it's really going to depend on how you play, right? I mean, and that will go with that Anaheim Edmonton series. The crowd is going to be boisterous in Edmonton, right? But that first period is going to be really important.
For sure. Just quickly looking at the chat, we got hello from Blaze. Hello, Blaze. What's up? We got Mitch saying, why are we talking about this? The only series that matters is.
What?
And Cap, this is why we didn't invite you, because you would have just said that all these teams suck, and they don't all suck there, Mitch. That's why you weren't invited. Then we got Jeremy saying Oilers sweep. I guess he wasn't here for the Oilers recap, and we just said that this is a must-win for Game 3 for the Anaheim Ducks. Both teams need to keep on playing their game, and just one of these teams needs to get lucky in one way or another. But we both believe that if Edmonton wins the next game, will it be a sweep? Kev said yes. I'm still not 100% sure, but I will say this, that if the Oilers do win the next game, they will win this series. I don't see Anaheim coming back from being 0-3.
Yeah, I don't want to predict a sweep, and I don't know who's going to win Game 3 yet. It's 20 minutes after 30 minutes after the game. I want to think about that a little bit more, but a couple of other things I think just to bring up here. Fiala for Predators out for the playoffs with a broken femur. That's going to be key in the Nashville St. Louis series. And I think you mentioned this. You're right, Kevin. The injury of Kevin Bieksa, I think, is going to hurt the Ducks going forward. And having, he's not a top 4 defenseman, but it's just having that experience on the blue line does make a difference, I think. And that Anaheim defense has been beat up throughout the playoffs so far. So,
and that might be the game changer right there, is a beat up Anaheim defensive core going up against the Edmonton defensive core, who's been pretty hot. As you said a little bit earlier, Darnell Nurse, he took a couple bad penalties. You see them kind of stepping out of their comfort zone every once in a while. But overall, I like Edmonton's defensive core better than I like Anaheim's, even a healthy Anaheim's defensive core.
Yeah, it's starting to this way their defense is a guy like Chris Russell has been such a rock for them, and Benning was solid, and I mean they're getting it done.
They are indeed getting it done. So we will see what Game 3 entails for both these teams. For a little bit of a taste of tomorrow, we got the Rangers hosting the Ottawa Senators. The Senators are still at home ice. They lead the series at 1-0. And of course,
Ottawa. Can we just talk about Ottawa here for a quick second?
Absolutely. Not a quick second. Let's go into it. Let's dive into it a little bit.
Can we inform the people in Ottawa that tickets are available at all Ticketmaster outlets and all places where they sell tickets, and you can go to the game and watch the game at the Canadian Tire Center.
Wait, hold on.
I feel like no one's advertising this opportunity.
Yeah, they're not, because I just heard that Austin Matthews is teeing off tomorrow in Toronto, so there'll probably be more people going to that than the Ottawa Senators game.
Right, yeah.
But nevertheless, let's not worry about that. Ottawa leads 1-0 in the series. Will they be able to keep that up, or will Henrik Lundqvist have a bounce-back game like he's known to do in the playoffs and stand on his head and get the series tied up 1-1? And, of course, we got the Washington Capitals versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. Penguins are leading 1-0 from 2 goals from Sidney Crosby, and everyone's favorite player, Nick Bonino. But Ovechkin had a very good game, arguably his best game of the playoffs so far. And, Washington still has the home ice advantage, so maybe they'll be able to catch up and win a game to tie up in the series. Kev, do you have any predictions for tomorrow's game, or are you going to leave all that for the review tomorrow?
I think I suspect that I think Washington will tie the series, and I think Ottawa's going to win tomorrow. Actually, I think Ottawa's going to pull a 2-0 lead.
Interesting picks. I'm going to say it's going to be ties all around.
Ties all around. Okay, so you're going Washington and the Rangers.
I am indeed. Kev, do you have anything to tease before we go?
We have our draft recap, and check out my podcast, Agree Through the Podcast. We'll be back on Monday with some stuff. So after a long hiatus, it will be back, my own podcast. So
definitely go check that out, because I know that everyone loves Kev and everyone loves what he does for the Bottom Line View. And definitely check out the NFL draft. We spent 4 hours, and I say we collectively because I was there for like half an hour of it. But Kev, AC, Mitch, Dilly Vanilli, 4-hour-long draft, sitting around talking about who got drafted where in the first round. And honestly, it was great. They loved it. I loved it. It was amazing. There's a little bit of an echo. Don't worry about that. It was great. It was so much fun. If you haven't checked that out, it's on the Bottom Line View, so check it out right now. And in the future, for the Bottom Line View, we got more NHL, NFL, NBA, and wrestling. So subscribe, and be sure to comment below, because we're always reading them, because we love you guys. You guys are most important to us. As I said, AC is right now signing autographs in downtown Vancouver for you. So it's Fitty Trent, Kev, Mitch is in the chat, AC signing autographs, Dilly Vanilli's in Texas, signing off. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.